Go more in depth on this subject, we're joined by Ryan Mauro, a national security analyst, Skyping in from the Garden State of New Jersey. Ryan, we thank you very much for your time here on America's Forum.
Thanks for having me.
Ryan, in this video depicting the beheading of Mr. Kassig, apparently ISIS also beheads 16 Syrian fighters, one of the more violent videos released by the terror group. But some analysts have interpreted this to suggest that ISIS may be showing signs of desperation. Is there anything to that interpretation?
Definitely. ISIS thrives off of this depiction that they are winning, because if they're winning, then they can make the argument that Allah is blessing them. Allah approves of what they're doing. And so therefore recruits that may have previously had reservations about what ISIS believes and does would say, well, if they're winning, then obviously they have the correct interpretation. And so losing is very, very deadly for ISIS. And so what they're trying to do is they're putting out this video as they're stalling and in some cases losing major territory in Iraq and Syria in order to say, no, we are still winning, we're still here. And one of the other messages, and I talk about this at the clarionproject.org website, who I work for, is this is wrapped in end times Islamic prophecy. They are telling Muslims that we are fulfilling end times prophecy. Don't worry about the military superiority of our enemies, because the Mahdi and Jesus, the Islamic version of Jesus, is going to come and bring us victory.
And as you are mentioning the different rationalizations offered by ISIS, we are seeing file images of Peter Kassig, a one-time Army Ranger, who apparently, upon becoming a relief worker, converted to Islam. What more do we know about Peter Kassig?
Well, what ISIS goes over and over on is the fact that he served in Iraq in the U.S. Army, and then apparently he converted after he was kidnapped. And so some people will say, okay, well, he was doing that in order to be treated better by his captors. Others that were with him and also held say that they think it was genuine. Whatever the case may be, what does appear clear from this video is that he resisted, because unlike the other videos, he didn't start blasting America. They didn't show his actual beheading, even though they showed the beheadings of the other Syrian captives. So what that tells me is that something went on that ISIS didn't want you to see. And I think that he resisted. I think that he fought back and he refused to read the script that was given to him.
Speaking of scripts, it appears that ISIS has departed again. In previous videos, they always identified the next hostage they planned to behead. They did not do that in this video. As we understand it, by intelligence estimates, there are only 2 Western hostages remaining in captivity. So have they postponed this, waiting to pick up more people, or what do you think their take is?
There's a few different reasons for this. We know that ISIS is holding a 26-year-old American woman, and the question is, why isn't she seen this video? And there's 2 reasons, and they're not mutually exclusive. The first could just be logistics. They were filming this video in the city of Dabiq because of its prophetic significance in Islamic end times prophecy. If she's held in another location, then maybe they just didn't want to overly complicate things by trying to transport her there. So it could be a logistical issue. Secondly, and this is going to sound crazy, but it's true, ISIS wants to fight the image that they are inhumane. ISIS supporters online actually argue that they are the true holders of women's rights. And so holding a woman and beheading her on tape, or even threatening to behead her, could result in a backlash that they just don't want to deal with right now.
Well, as has been discussed earlier, the U.S. and the U.K. have stressed that those governments do not negotiate with terrorists. That's a departure from some other Western countries which have paid millions of dollars for the release of their own hostages. Now, President Obama has said he is reviewing our American policy in dealing with these terrorist kidnappers. Is a review of that policy a good idea?
Yes, because you should always be reviewing your policy in order to improve it. It looks like what this review is going to focus on is not on the issue of ransom. It's going to be on the issue of the military strategy against ISIS, how to make it better, And apparently President Obama is currently inclined to believe that a successful strategy will require sidelining and toppling the Assad dictatorship in Syria. Not necessarily regime change, but at least getting him out of power, because him being in power is what fuels this jihadist civil war in Syria. And he's right. Until Assad is gone, you're going to be having this battle taking place in Syria, and Syria for the foreseeable future will be the Afghanistan of today, much like it was in the 1980s, where jihadists go to get all the recruitment, all the training, and all the equipping that they need.
Only about a minute and a half left. Let's talk about what can be done militarily. We understand from the Daily Beast, senior military officials told them there's a shortage of drones to be able to fully monitor ISIS activities. Is this an emerging problem in terms of dealing militarily with ISIS?
Yes, I've been saying for years, get used to the drones. They are going to be a fact of life for decades moving forward. We need more of them. They're very effective. I think the ingredient that's really missing from our strategy is that there's no element designed to dismantle the Iranian-backed militias in Iraq. Because again, they fuel ISIS. They act just as viciously as ISIS does, except they're the Shiite component of them. And until we tackle them, you could destroy ISIS, another one will rise from the ashes.
About 30 seconds left for this answer, Ryan. Let's bring it back home. The talk of executive amnesty in terms of illegal immigration. What is your take on that as a national security analyst?
The bottom line for me is that the borders have to be secured, and we have to have some process to keep track of the flow of who's here. The fact that we don't know who is here is an enormous security issue, and frankly, it is a miracle that there hasn't been a major attack on American soil by terrorists coming across the Mexican border.
Ryan Mauro, national security analyst, reiterating the fact that border security is national security, and appreciate your observation. And it is one that we greet with amazement, the fact that in almost 15 years there hasn't been a major attack. Hate to hold our breath on that one. Ryan, thanks so much. America's Forum continues following this update.